Hi, this is Nikola from Millencolin and Brewing, and you're watching Talking Records.
First of all, congratulations on Millencolin's 30th anniversary.
Thank you.
What kind of thoughts and images come to your mind when you think about it?
Yeah, it's been 31 years now.
Yes, this is 30 plus 1, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we were supposed to do this exact tour last year. And we've been the same guys in the band all the way, and I guess that's maybe the biggest sort of achievement. I mean, we started October as a three-piece actually, and then Fredrik joined whatever February maybe the year after. So in time to when we started to write songs for a second demo tape. So the first demo, Matthias was actually playing drums.
Having so much experience, you have this unique perspective because you all started as teenagers. Now you have families and responsibilities. So which phase of your career do you appreciate the most? Like the time when you were younger, more hungry, but the future was still unknown? Or now when you are a bit older and your life is a little bit more stable, you are more fulfilled?
Yeah, everything was new to us. We went from having this as a hobby, meeting up with the guys maybe 2 times a week to rehearse, so that was completely different than what it turned into during the first few years. We went really fast from just as I said, like meeting twice a week to actually be out on tour, and so it went to something really, not necessarily big, but for us it took a lot of time, and so it was a big sort of roller coaster. We got to do a lot of different stuff that we look forward to before, play with bands from the States. We did that pretty quickly, and we got signed to the label that we wanted to be on, and also Epitaph later on. So we achieved a lot, but it was a big roller coaster, and I think the biggest sort of challenge was to just manage being in a band, like the psychological sort of perspective on having to deal with friends and now sort of living with your friends and with all the traveling and so on. But at that time, as you said, we didn't have any family, so it was in that perspective still stressful, and now it's more. I think the last 20 years we're been touring, not as a bit smarter. Now it's more planned. Okay, we're putting out an album, and then we know, so we have to sort of play all these territories, and then we make a plan, and that hopefully works for everyone involved, including our families and the people back home. And I think for them it's probably the toughest. They have to deal with kids and everything at home, whereas we pretty much can sleep all day and then drink beer.
I think it's safe to say that one of the milestones in Millencolin's history was your participation in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 soundtrack. When I interviewed Joey Cape from Lagwagon, he said that participating in this soundtrack basically saved his band. What kind of effect it had on Millencolin's career?
Well, at the time we just thought it was a cool thing to be on, and I mean we had just put out, I guess, Pennyfish Pioneers, but we didn't really. I don't know, because we put out other songs as the singles for the album. I mean, we never synchronized like having No Cigar as a single, and I can't remember when we got the offer to be on when we were asked, but I guess it was maybe a bit later after those singles came out. I don't know. But the full effect of it, we sort of realized that, and we saw that maybe 5 years later or 10 years later, or I mean the big impact, and I mean it's now later when people tell us that that they found our band through, but they didn't tell us back then. So this is stuff that you hear afterwards, and I think it's like that with every album you put out. It's not until like 5 years after you sort of get the feedback from people, and you sort of realize what impact it has had on people, and especially being together 31 years. I mean, we're playing songs that 25 years old, and I mean it's fun to play the songs, but we're not really there. It's a bit weird. I mean, and that's why I think it's necessary to have other things in life that you're more sort of fully in the present, where you you can have like solo projects or just do anything else. Like I have a brewery. I've been brewing beers for 10 years and selling my beers for the past 7 years.
How's it going?
It's going great. I mean, it's pretty much tough times to run any kind of business these days. But I've had just pretty similar situation that we had with Millencolin. When we started out, the first few years we only played in Sweden, or played mostly in Sweden, and then it was a big sort of, not hype, but we sort of broke through and almost sort of mainstream-ish at the time. But then sort of the trend sort of changed, and we were not so popular anymore in Sweden, but we just started to tour in other countries. So we started touring in other countries back then, and that's pretty much what I've done with beers. I'm exporting a lot of beers, and so I'm selling beers to Australia, China, Japan, Singapore, and pretty much all over Europe. But the main difference, like when you work with music, you maybe put out an album and you've been working on those songs for some songs could be 10 years old before they sort of are recorded and so on. Whereas beer, you can have an idea, and then 4 weeks later you can drink it and share it with and experience it, and you're very much in the present, and you can use all your senses, and it's creative and it's very social, and I like it.
It is 4 years after the release of the latest album SOS, which was also released 4 years after its predecessor True Brew. Was this a conscious decision to slow down studio albums and focus more on tours?
I think we want to fit in other things, in our lives too, and which I think is necessary. I mean, we're interested in other stuff, and I mean, it would get very one-dimensional our lives if we would only, do Millencolin. And time is too short to be doing only one thing, and playing songs from the 90s. we need to, we need to challenge ourselves with other things. We write songs. I mean, I write songs a lot faster than that. I've been very busy with my brewery, so I haven't really had time on putting out any solo albums or anything else than Millencolins. And I would like to, put out music, whatever, it would be solo stuff or something else, other project than Millencolin too. And let's see, hopefully I will have time for that.
You open your last album with words, I hear on SOS, last chance to open up your eye. And now 4 years later, when you look at the state of the world today, we will find some reasons to feel optimistic and hopeful?
That's a good question. I mean, that song was Matthias' song, lyrics. The whole song is actually, he's written most of it. And I don't know, back then I've always been optimistic. But I don't know, something happened with COVID. I think a lot of people took a hit, like mentally, and things changed, and a lot of sort of the whole world, and everything. There's wars, there's economy that's not really stable, financial system is not really looking too bright, and so it's I mean, I hope. I've always been optimistic with people, and then of course you have like the climate change and that sort of crisis. So there's a lot of things to it now. But hopefully we can sort of pull ourselves together and come out of it. Even though I think maybe people have become a little bit more detached, and I think maybe it's just me getting older, but I think like the way you were socializing before with other people and now after COVID, I think that has changed a bit more. Now, I don't know, people they got used to not meeting other people so much, and now they're sort of, I mean, I know a lot of people that after COVID, they never sort of, they left their house, but you know, that they become different people, and now it's also, you know, with social media, people are just more on their phones and sort of, and that reality is not really, I don't know, it's not always for the positive. Of course, you have, you know, community is on the internet, whatever, Discord and this and that, you know, and so there's a lot of community there too, but it's also a bit, it's not always the real world, and I don't know, I like meeting people. I mean, now this will be on YouTube, but I like meeting people and communicating.
On the Let It Be, we're saying ain't got the time for the tragic news because all it does is living with the brewers. I think that everyone should take these words to heart, especially in following years when we were hit with pandemic and we were bombarded with tragic news basically every day. So how did you try to protect your own mental health at that time?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was always, I mean, for years, I think it was when I've been trying to sort of not isolate myself, but I've tried to sort of filter out a lot of the noise and just focus on the things that I like and not be drawn into the noise and attention of stuff that I don't really need. And with, you know, brewing beer, I knew that I had to focus on that. And so I would, you know, instead of listening to the news, I would put on like all these podcasts about, you know, brewing beer, and I was, you know, learning that way and try to do stuff like that rather than getting input, like negative input. And I think it worked quite well. But now it's actually, I mean, the noise is so. It's become a bit harder since the pandemic to sort of filter out. But I mean, it's basically doing positive things that you believe in. It's good for yourself.
Thank you for watching my interview with Nikola from Millencolin. Next to my head you will find other videos on my channel, and I will see you next time.